Number 12. He was being tied down. He wasn't made to handle that. Since he was falling behind at work, he would go to the office early in the morning and leave later than everyone else. He spent less time with Risa. He felt slowed down and exhausted at the office as usual. The friction was immense. It was like stepping on the accelerator with the handbrakes pulled. Once the office was empty, hearing his fingers strike the keys made him want to see Lisa. That feeling, his own, felt heavy to him. It was scary. That he was so attached to her, the anxiety and all this word. Jealousy jealousy he felt in relation to Lisa Mizuno. All of the noise was scary. Sometimes, like now, he missed her and wanted to see her so much. For some reason, that fact was painful. He wished he could kill the emotion. He wasn't able to see her for a couple of weeks. When he finally went to her place for the first time in a while, she asked out of the blue, "I was thinking about buying a car. What do you think? You have your driver's license?" "Yeah. I got it when I was still a student. I thought it would be useful for job hunting." "But why do you want a car again? The maintenance cost is such a pain." Back when Takaki was in college, he bought a car with the money he had earned at a part-time job. It was a used Suzuki Swift that ran exceptionally well for its mileage. He then took a solo trip around Japan. He never stayed at hotels, choosing instead to spend many nights sleeping in his car. In the end, he didn't make enough to cover the parking lot and maintenance fees and had no choice but to part with his car after just over a year. "You know what? I'll drive you to work every morning." "All the way there? You don't have to. I mean, it's just a train ride to my office. I want to," Lisa interrupted. This was someone who always thought before she spoke, and she had never sounded so serious. "If at all possible, I don't want you standing on a platform." If y'all don't remember, this references to Lisa's older brother, who supposedly committed suicide by jumping off the train platform into the oncoming train. So that's why she's saying this. Takaki pretended not to have heard her not so subtle reason. "I can't let you do that. I'm already so grateful that you cook for me, and I feel bad about being busy as it is. If you drove me around on top of that, you would be my mother or something. I'm a little hesitant about it. It'll be fine if I were the one driving you to work." That's kind of a weird reason, in my opinion. "Hey, it's not about how you feel, it's about what I want." Oof, boy, that's also kind of weird. And that's just who they are. "Listen, if you want to buy a car, that's your choice. I just can't have you driving me around because I'd feel too bad about it." Lisa glanced down to her lower right and bit her bottom lip. She had a habit of doing this when she had more to say but didn't know how. Takaki thought he did a good job of getting out of it. He felt relieved. "I mean, is there anything I can do for you, Lisa? For my part, I can't think of anything that you don't already do. Actually, I'd really like it if you were more open about what you want me to do." Lisa looked at Takaki with a shocked expression, as if her heart had skipped a beat. She seemed more upset at her own thoughts than his words. "Takaki," she said, "I have a favor to ask." "What is it?" "Even just once would be enough." "Shoot. I want you to say it." "Say what?" He shouldn't have asked. "Say that you love me." Okay, wait. I'll delete this message. Hey WT, hope you're doing well. I'm just deleting that because I don't have any disrespect or anything for people who do that stuff. I mean, it's whatever. It's just how it works here. They do it, they're cool. I do my thing, I'm cool with my thing too. I can't speak for everyone though. But yeah, hope you're having a good one. Nothing against you. Okay, next. Takaki went home without even turning on the lights. He opened his laptop and created a document in Microsoft Word. It was with a half-astonished expression that he watched the display as his hands began to type up a letter of resignation. It was probably over. Anyways, oh yeah, hopefully you're good. You do whatever you want. I don't expect you to do anything, Mofu. If you delete it, chances are I'll probably trust you. Trust his judgment. Blaming their busy schedules, Takaki and Risa spent less time together when they met. Something had died. He unconsciously avoided her. Mofu Oi. Starting around October, they began to meet less often, and the months went by. He stowed away his summer clothes and took out his winter vestments. The season of skin-crampingly chilly nights had come around. Takaki commuted to work wrapped tightly in his coat. He tried not to think about how it was December 19th, Lisa's birthday. He avoided the calendar at all costs. He kept averting his heart's eyes to keep it from resurfacing in his mind. By the time Takaki had finished work, taken the train from Mitaka to Shinjuku, and slipped out of the station, the date had already changed. You're kidding? Are you Mofu SMH? 3 days ago, he had completed the infamous, infuriating project. However, he still had a mountain of tasks left. He had to meet with coworkers and bosses to transition his duties over to them and say his goodbyes. He couldn't leave the office until it was this late. He had already submitted the letter of resignation from that night. After himself, he would finally be free of that company. He didn't feel this way or that about it. He just knew that he couldn't take it anymore. Fatigue coiled around his body and weighed him down. He thought about taking a taxi to his apartment in Nakano Sakaue. He gave up on the idea 0.2 seconds after seeing the dreadful queue at this taxi stand. The Maruno Uchi line had already shut down for the night, so he decided to walk home. He didn't mind navigating the interstices of Shinjuku skyscrapers. When he came out on the other side of the tunnel-like west exit, the dampness of the chilly night air enveloped him. The tree that separated the sidewalk from the street had been decorated with bluish white lights. It was a season. Takaki didn't really like Christmas festivities. Still, he couldn't deny that the straight line of trees, each adorned with tiny grains of snow-like light, looked stunning in perspective. He felt the fatigue in his chest loosen up. Takaki walked with his hands in his pockets. His leather shoes tapped against the stone ground. The sound seemed to reverberate across the desolate district of high-rises that was West Shinjuku at night. When he approached the Sumitomo building, a quiet buzzing came from his pocket. Takaki stopped still, his nerves frayed by the vibration of his cell phone. He took his paint-chipped Welcome phone in his gloved hand. A frosty wind blew, it attacked his glove and chilled his hands, which had been warm and snug in his pocket only moments ago. He opened the flip phone. He checked his missed calls. Risa, Mizuno. Takaki glanced up at the high-rise before him. It looked like a round, triangular column. He stared at the sky above the building. Small, white specks were fluttering down and started snowing. It was a fine, delicate snowfall. A single flake, looking like a speck of dust on Takaki's coat collar, instantly vanished and seeped into the fabric. It almost seemed as though the countless spots of light behind the high-rise windows were creating and dropping the substance. The phone continued its low hum. He couldn't answer Lisa's call. His fingers just wouldn't move. I love you, Lisa. The words just wouldn't come out. Even though he felt so deeply for her, Takaki wondered He thought he remembered feeling cornered like this long ago. The frustration of not finding something important no matter how hard he searched. Yet, his desire to embrace her would only intensify, and before long, just reaching out became painful. The vibration stopped. Takaki thought, why don't I have the strength? The strength to settle in one place? The strength to deepen my attachment to someone? The strength to love a human being? The strength to carry a bit of someone else's pain on my shoulders? Why don't I have that? He was no rocket. He was like a car with no engine. He could only go downhill. In which case, when had he been at the top? At what point did his time literally crest the summit, to turn into a side road that slowly made a mockery of it all? Last night, she dreamed about the past. Both he and Akari were still kids. It had to be because of the letter she found yesterday. Akari seemed to be the only passenger on the Ryomo Line's train. Even when she sat straight up, she didn't see any heads sticking out above the green booths. It was always empty at this time of the day. Outside the morning and evening rush hours, there were hardly ever any passengers on board. The train was making its way to Oyama Station slowly. Or perhaps she only felt that way due to the passing landscape's leisurely pace. The patties, packed with snow, subtly changed their orientations as they slid away. Akari had used the line for all 6 years of her secondary schooling. Although she was surveying familiar sights from a familiar train, something felt different. No doubt because her feelings differed from back then. Trying to lean back on the hard, immovable seat just made her posture needlessly proper. So she turned to face the window. Her breath fogged up the glass. This had to be what Inui felt like. She sighed. When she rested her chin in her hand, her ring's gemstone pressed against her cheek. She was so fidgety, Akari thought. Marriage was kind of strange. She felt fidgety, and did everyone else. So did everyone else. Her parents actually seemed more flustered than her. Akari had visited her parents' home to gather her things and was on her way back to Tokyo now that she was done. That was the side reason for her trip, but her parents had insisted on seeing her off at the station as if it were a big deal. It had been snowing on the platform in Iwafune. Icicles hung from the eaves of the station building, and the surrounding fields were dyed white. She told her aging parents that they didn't have to, but they came anyway. They even went through the unmanned ticket gates to bid her farewell on the platform. Akari had lived in Tokyo by herself for nearly 10 years. She was simply going back there, but her parents didn't see it that way. We wish you could stay until New Year's, her mother lamented. Me too. There's still a lot left to do. Right. Cook something tasty for him too, okay? Her father said. I will. Call us if you need anything, her mother said. Got it. Akari answered with a wry smile. The wind carried off each white puff of breath. Around them, a snowy landscape. It was like a scene out of a drama. The similarity to cheesy TV made her want to giggle out of embarrassment, but she was touched nonetheless. We'll be seeing each other at my wedding in just a month, so could you stop worrying? Please, head back home and stay out of the cold, Akari begged with a grimace, but her voice might have been shaking a bit. The train car's oscillations gave her a gentle shove, her left ring finger. It still felt a bit strange. She hadn't gotten used to wearing a band on her left ring finger. They say the finger is connected to the heart, and it did feel that way. So, I'm getting married. The fact had yet to sink in. Living with him and being added to a family register was still a hazy notion, a prospect. Not so for wedding preparations. They were an imminent, stressful reality. Maybe she was trying to escape from it. What kept coming back to her in that empty car were the early trains nearly devoid of passengers as she took to her middle school. For morning basketball practice, often in a booth she had all to herself, she placed her stationery on her knees and write a letter. She recalled her dream from last night. In it, the street from the station gleamed white with snow under lonesome street lamps. It was a dream about a boy and a girl under that light, leaving a pair of tracks on the cold, white, empty road and trekking into the dark. Both of them were still kids. It was a dream about the two wanting to become grown up soon, not being able to and being painfully aware of it. This description, I'm pretty sure, is the poster to the movie. I think it's describing that. Where it's like, at least Akaki at least. I'm not sure if I remember if Akari was in the poster, but they were just walking in the snow under like a street lamp. It had to be because of the letter she found yesterday. Her first love letter. The only one she ever wrote in her life, yet ended up keeping. She found it tucked away in the back of her closet in an empty cookie can, along with the fancy stationery she used to write on. Cassette tapes of her favorite songs, a graduation essay collection she didn't even want to look at. The letter was in a pink envelope. The seal had never been broken. And then Akari opened it and read the whole thing. It was only after hearing for some time, hesitating for some time. Take care, Aki. Thanks for dropping by. Have a good lurk. You have fun too. Or, I'm not sure about having fun. Good luck with you. Her old bedroom, under its fluorescent light, dim from years of disuse. She could only close her eyes once she had finished. Almost sweet, almost ticklish, Akani's heart trembled and she was wrapped in it. A few scenes came back to her, leaning against each other and reading the same book, running down the shrine path and so on. The train he took, that last day, she was riding the same line in the opposite direction. The train seemed to be taking its time but was actually speeding towards its destination. A little of how she had felt back then revived in her. Oh, I'm so sorry, I kind of scratched the mic with my hand. From between a break in the clouds, light shone through the window. Light fell on Akari's face. It was bright. She shut her eyes. Surely, the mountain ridge was gleaming white in the light. She could have sworn that there was a gentle breeze. She let out a deep sigh. This is what your heart overflowing with emotions feel like. Yo, we just read like 8 pages, almost 10 pages in like 20 minutes. Holy moly. Well, I guess with not that many people typing, it's pretty easy, huh? What was I gonna do and say? Right. Really shook. Stretch a bit. Hey. I'll be honest, I don't. Oh shoot! Did y'all hear my my hand cracking? What does that sound? Oh, I think that was me cracking my fingers. Because all of them I didn't crack in a while, but they all cracked at the same time. Yeah, I did it pretty far from the mic too, but I think I picked it up. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm gonna be honest. I don't remember too much of this part in the movie. Takaki's relationship with Lisa. I don't remember too much. Oh, that's your back? I don't really crack my back. No, that was all my fingers. I think Takaki sucks. I think Takaki is a big doo-doo. This book is reading 5 centimeters per minute. Oh, as I'm reading 5 centimeters per minute? Why? My back crack, I see. Hey Choco, hope we're doing well. I found it kind of strange that he had an inkling on how he kind of feels towards Lisa and how he kind of struggles being unable to say I love you to her. And even when he's seen Lisa in her like most vulnerable state and even talked about it several times, he can't be straightforward with his own feelings and is ignoring the calls, and I find that very, very irresponsible of the main character. And that And when he's gone to a point where Lisa's almost dependent on Takaki, I think, and now that he's just whatever and just kind of avoiding her, I can't imagine how much that is hurting Lisa right now. That it sucks. If he was just, you know, if you're just honest and just say it outright, it could be less dramatic and less painful for all sides, I'm sure. But I mean, it's tough. I don't know. I don't know what else to say about it. Now I don't like Takaki here, but everyone has flaws. Might be a bit much here though. I can't imagine getting into a relationship that close of a relationship with someone, and then just in my back of my mind, I'm just thinking, can I love them? I think he was just hoping his feelings will like naturally develop and not actually actively working on it maybe. And his reasoning is also just as vague. It's like what is it? And not being able to stay in one place. Just like all I got is that it's as if he's just like, you know, always just hoping for better, or he is obsessed with the idea that there could be something better or perfect for him out there. The fact of it that he would settle down, he won't be able to strive for that anymore, which is very disrespectful and irresponsible. As I saying every connection you have right now, all you're doing, not you're comparing that to like something that's might not even happen. And how Lisa would think on that, like, imagine just like him saying to his girlfriend, like, you know, I can't really say I love you, I just don't want to settle down, like there could be someone better. So I mean, I'm just with you for now, you know, just you know, just waiting it out. It's basically that, but he's not verbally saying it. Is what I got out of it, and that sucks. This I did not get this from the anime movie at all, but I mean, I was also really young when I watched the movie, so yeah. You must be the star. Hopefully, you sound so sarcastic. I'm gonna smack you, but actually, during Socratic seminars, I'm big doo doo. I'm too shy to talk in front of people. I also am like very comfortable with everyone there, but IRL, I'm so shy and introverted. I was being serious. I'm honest. Every time you use that emoji, you look big sarcastic. You look big, Captain. You know that you won't. No, but I knew you were serious though. But you, I knew that you were probably serious, but it came off. Or I was like, you know, I wouldn't be surprised if that was sarcasm too. Alta Kami, hello. Hope we're doing well. Oh, and thank you for the follow. Well, whoever uses a nice way, hard cap. That's hard cap Sofu. I swear you said something like, yo, good job, you got the whole squad laughing, and he used that emote. I swear you've done that once. Now, I don't have any evidence, but I'm saying Sofu, that's something that you would totally do. Don't you have a good Whatever, guys. Alright, let's continue reading. Oh, I want to end stream early-ish because I want to be able to wake up tomorrow for my booster shot. Okay. Sure. Alright, I think I can lurk on more streams now because I'm pretty sure my My internet bill is cycled now. Is that so choco? I use the term very loosely, but I was almost to crack seminars. I mean, I'm very talkative towards like my friends and you know, on stream and certain people. Like honestly, if you, as long as you give like a vibe I'm very comfortable with, I will probably talk pretty comfortably with you. That's it. That's it. It just takes a while. But if I'm not too used, not too used to you, then, or if the vibes you give aren't like really vibes I'm used to, or I can't really mix well with, then I'll probably act pretty pretty strange. Or pretty restrained. Alright. Extroverts are allowed parliament. Don't take my word for it. I don't know my terms. I just always live my, or I just take it as extroverts are very proactive people, and introverts are the opposite. They're not as proactive. That's it. Of course, I mean that's a very broad way to describe it, but that's kind of my general idea of it. Alright, let's continue. Nasty. Hey, you're fine, Alta. You do you, Alta. Almost these. Blip. Oh shoot. I muted mic in time, I think. Alta, you do you? Hey, I'm just, as long as you're not being like mad sus, I don't think you'll be. I mean, I'm just here chilling. I'll just be reading. That was a weird deep breath. Okay. 10. After quitting his job, Takagi spent the days doing nothing. He slept over 10 hours a day and still felt drowsy, his head awfully numb. He would wake up, lean against the wall, sit with his legs sticking straight out, and remain in that position, turning on neither the lights nor any music. He only went outside to buy random things to eat. It might be at midnight or at dawn. He completely abandoned a proper daily cycle and lived instead like a wounded animal lying still in its den. Apparently, he was more exhausted than he thought. Takagi continued like this for about a month. Then, at last, he was able to want to smoke again. He'd gone a whole month without a cigarette and not even noticed. His fatigue wasn't gone, but he could move somewhat. He went out to the veranda and lit a cigarette with a lighter. How strange, he thought. Filling my body with smoke clears my head. The cold February air pricked his skin, but he didn't have the energy to go back and put on extra layers. His fingertips hurt. The hand holding the cigarette was shaking. Takagi looked up. He could see Shinjuku high-rises not too far in the distance. Numerous square towers rose to varied levels amidst a sprawling gray metropolis of low, crouching buildings. Like cedars, standing straight on a grassy field, as if on a fast-forwarded video, clouds were pulling towards him. Time suddenly seemed to be flowing again. He must have hoped that time would grind to a halt while he was curled up in his room. Maybe it balanced out the years he spent on fast forward. From now on, he wasn't going anywhere. Nothing would happen. How relieved he'd be if Earth cut out its rotating and revolving. But he supposed that was a tall order. No matter how much he ran in circles or stood still, a month was a month, a second, a second. What a depressing conclusion. His own thoughts, made Takaki sigh. Actually, way back when, didn't I wish that time would pass more quickly, so I'd become an adult right away? Didn't I, with all my heart? When was that? And why did I feel that way? It was at that moment that the dream came back to him. He wasn't sure if it was that morning or some time ago, but he did have the dream. It always faded from his memory upon waking, but out of the blue, he'd remembered. A dream he used to have when he was a kid. Ah yes, take me back. Takes me back. Just then, he received a message on his cell phone. Even without opening the message, he felt he knew who it was from and what it said. Pressing that button was going to take some courage. Takaki went back in from the veranda. His cell phone was flashing orange on the low table. He was really nervous. He hadn't checked his emails in a while. He simply hadn't wanted to interact with anyone. Takaki just stood there staring at his phone, as if that might pause his time and annul everything. Annul everything. But the light on his mobile kept blinking in his dark room, mobile, relentlessly, as if to remind him that time was wasting. He picked it up. He pressed the button. The words jumped out at him. For a moment, his mind seemed unwilling to recognize them. Hello, Takaki, so the word said. Hello, Takaki. It's been a while. How have you been? I've been going back and forth about it for a while, but there's something I just have to say. Sometimes it feels like your eyes looked right through me. The view from the window, the food on the table, and out at something formless, like at a concept or idea. That's all that I know. When we're looking through things, it feels as if you're trying to make yourself fade away and disappear. Her message was very, very long. He scrolled down, line by line. When he finished reading and glanced up from his phone, it felt as if all of the color had faded from everything in sight. He had known this moment would come, but was hoping he would delay it just a little while more. Suddenly, every object in his room that made up his daily life seemed coated in a layer of dust. Even his wrinkled bed sheets, the toothbrush in his room, and the history on his cell phone, everything announced that she was gone. I think Lisa broke up with my dude. Honestly, you seen the start of message. Lisa is amazing for handling it like that. But I'm sure maybe she's bottling it up herself inside. And I don't think she has anyone that she can talk to either. She's also pretty closeted in. He straightened the collar of his overcoat, put on his boots, and left his apartment. The metallic blast of the closing steel door resounded in his ears. When he turned the key, the cold click of the lock clawed at his chest. He pushed a button and waited for the elevator. The rising numbers on display felt urgent and oppressive. When the thick automatic double doors opened to reveal an empty box, he almost felt wounded. Barely able to stand during his short ride on the first floor lobby, he leaned, or rather, collapsed against the wall. The motor's hum annoyed him. There was a metallic sound. His keys had slipped out of his hand. He looked at the floor. His key holder had fallen. He couldn't pick it up. 3 keys were attached to it. The key to his apartment, the key to his bicycle, and he wanted to direct his eyes elsewhere. He inhaled. He slowly bent down and picked up his key holder. Even that small act required great willpower. He left his apartment building and came to Omet Highway. He tried his hardest not to slouch as he strolled in the heart of the town. It was busy with passing vehicles. The chilly air penetrating his coat wouldn't stop whispering to him. In a language he didn't understand, all of the muscles in his body were cooling. They felt heavy, as if they were freezing solid. Just in time for game, or just teen time for game? Hey, hello. Yeah, do whatever you want. Justine, and take care, wish you the best. Have a good sleep. M41, VTuber? Oh, I'm glad you found me then. Oh shoot, I hit the mic, I'm so sorry. Take care, and have fun cooling down. I'll just be reading. I usually read chat like every Like every like small good stopping point, like every 3 paragraphs, something like that. I don't know. Oh, we're just reading Justine. Is it pronounced Justine? Hopefully. Alright. That's how I'll call you. And yeah, take care. We're just reading 5 centimeters per second. One more side. We're reading this. If you guys are familiar with Makoto Shinkai, who did Your Name and Weathering with You, the anime movies, he also did 5 centimeters per second. And this story is pretty similar to the movie, but it's one more side. It adds more in a sense that there are several chapters that take place in the perspective of the female lead, which was not available in the movie because it was all in the main male's lead. It was a little bit different. But yeah, that's what we're reading. I don't know if I can describe the entire plot because we're like 200 pages in, but yeah, we're just gonna be finishing tonight, and y'all do what you do, relax, chill, lurk, leave. I'll just be here reading. So yeah, take care. Okay, I want to continue reading. You walk by the fence of a vacant lot. 2 yellow cranes hunched over in their parking spots. Perhaps the lot would become a new building. Red and white headlights, passing strangers, lit signs, noise. While Takaki burned with such agony, the townscape threw him an indifferent look as it went about its daily life. His heart smarted as if that apathy were filing it down. He hated how everything around him looked back at him with a blank expression. Sure, it was just reflecting his own. Even so, it would be such a lifesaver if someone asked him what was wrong right about now. Just as she had approached him out of the blue on the platform long ago. I still love you, Lisa, the woman he dated for 3 years, wrote in her email. But in spite of the 1,000 messages we sent each other, our hearts only grew closer by an inch. She's right, Takaki thought, and it's my fault. Nonetheless, it was the only path he could have chosen. The only way it could have turned out. As a person, he just wasn't designed to steer with ease. He could only go straight. He'd chosen to live in this manner, in this town. The world was the world. Scenery was scenery, and he was himself. Didn't he decide one day to go ahead on his own and never get too involved? Reflecting off the frame of a bicycle parked by the road, the low light of evening leapt into his eyes. He would feel his brow crease. He averted his eyes. The slanting rays shone on just the top half of apartment buildings. A blue sign that gave directions hung above the main road, lit up by the setting sun. It was illegible. Where was he headed anyway? It's just like you said, Lisa. The closer you came, the more I distanced myself. But if that's true, why should getting your farewell message make me feel so terrible? Number 9. She was still thinking about last night's dream. Set in those bygone days. In it, the 2 of them were still 13. Akari got off the aging train car, green and orange. At Oyama Station, she took an underground passage. And when she arrived at the platform for Ueno, tiny snowflakes were fluttering down from the sky. The snow likely wouldn't stick. She checked the display, but it didn't look. I got ganked by my dad. What up, BRB? I'm getting ganked. I got ambushed. I'll be back in a bit. I'm just gonna wait a bit. No, my dad does this every time. In the middle of the night, he would just walk out. Oh, he would just uh all of a sudden he would think, did I close the car door? And then, or did I roll up the windows on my car? And then my dad would just wake up in the middle of the night, get his shoes on, and just walk outside and check on his car. he's like super duper paranoid about like everything. So that's what he's doing right now. So I'm gonna hold off reading for like 2 minutes or a minute until he comes back from checking on that, so that there won't be any unnecessary noises. So I'll be right back. Any nasty, take care. Alright, I think we're good to go now. Choco, I watched this movie with someone. We used to watch these anime alone. We stopped doing these since last year. So, yeah, hope those series of movies were fun. I mean, I usually read shoujo romance, or a romance shoujo, just typical your like school life shoujo romance, and just a lot of other romance manga novels alone. I mean, it's not gonna read with others. This is the first time I'm reading with others, as in I'm reading aloud. As for movies, yeah, I've always watched movies alone. I mean, like 5 centimeters per second. I remember I watched it in my bed when I was like 8 years old, 10 years old, somewhere around that time when I was like 8 or 10 or whatever. And I remember watching it. And watching movies alone is fine. I mean, but I mean, depends who. Well, I mean, it depends on the person. If you prefer watching with other people, then hopefully you can find. Nowadays, I don't really watch anything now. But I mean, now that I watch movies with on Mofu server every Friday, every week, now I actually watch stuff. It is quite enjoyable watching with other people too. Also, but you know, that's just me. Could be it differs. Alright. Finished milk, I'll just put it here. Alright, let's get back to your reading. My dad is gone. Crab rape. Alright, let's go back. Yo, shut. Now I forgot where we were. 90% of boy romance movies for some reason. Just, well, that's. I mean, it. For me, at least, I'm speaking for myself here. If I'm with someone, if I'm with someone who I enjoy being with, it doesn't really matter. I mean, usually it doesn't matter if it's like a hobby or like a new thing, activity, movie, genre, whatever that I'm not used to, that I don't typically do. As long as I'm doing it with someone I enjoy being with, it'll probably be enjoyable. It will probably be an enjoyable experience with me, or for me, not with me, for me. Like if Mofu chooses like non-anime movie, something that I don't really like at all, a horror movie or whatever, I'll probably hate it. If I were to watch it alone, I would never watch it alone. But doing it with like the group of people there, it'll probably be an enjoyable experience. Cause it's not just, my joy is not just coming from the media alone. But that's for me. This differs from person to person again. Is there an example that this has happened? Like other than like yeah, movies, yeah. Like I never watch movies alone, or as in I never watch movies in general. Like I wouldn't watch it alone anymore because I just don't really care about watching anime movies. But now that there's this, there's that, I do watch it now. Let me think. I don't know. There's an example. I don't know. I remember I played ping pong in high school. I would have never touched it if my friends weren't into it, or my classmates I was close to. I don't know why I'm calling them friends. I should be calling them friends, but I wonder if that's right. And they were down to teach me, and it was very fun. If it weren't for them, I would have never enjoyed it, that experience. Because I wouldn't have developed an interest in it. So I think having someone there with you, or doing something with someone, really enhances or motivates you to do certain stuff together. Even if it's something you're not used to. Well, a favorite thing of mine, a really nice thing that I enjoyed experiencing, which I mentioned before in the past, is when both people, or when all parties involved aren't like familiar with the new activity or experience, so that you and the other person, or you and the other people, experience that new experience all together, such as watching a completely new movie together, or playing a new co-op game together, or trying out a new sport together, and learning from each other and just experiencing with each other. And I really love doing that, or I love those kind of experiences. Of course, it depends on who you're doing with, and if that's someone who you enjoy being with. For me, at least. Alright, let's get back to the book. Show. Sorry, I'm cracking my fingers. That's just the hobbies, or yeah, that's fine. I mean, it can be. It's just that when you're doing with someone, if you're doing that with someone else, it can help enhance it, or it could do the opposite depending on who they are to you. It depends on person to person. It's not like a true or false statement in my opinion. There might be a majority opinion, but yeah. Alright. Okay. Where were we, by the way? I think I'm just gonna start here. I don't remember, okay? I'm just gonna start all the way back just in case. Alright. The snow likely wouldn't stick. She checked the display, but it didn't look like there were going to be any suspensions in service. What perfect timing, Akari thought. She couldn't help remembering various things. That day, too, it had snowed. A snowstorm. The trains had stopped. That day, 14 years ago, Takagi had stood on the very same platform, buffeted by a wintry storm. He must have glanced up at the same display 100 times over. Until that day, Akari hadn't known that trains sometimes stopped running when it snowed. He must have been under the same impression. She looked at the sky, clouded white. Then she watched the specks of snow tumbling down after another fairly rapidly. Having grown up in Tochigi, she was used to the sight, but it was still oddly unsettling that made her anxious. He must have felt the same way. Akari tried to leap across time and picture the station as it had been 14 years ago. That boy stood still with snowflakes clinging to his duffel coat. She couldn't recall his face clearly anymore, yet somehow his air, breath, and mood, recovered from her heart, played on the screen of her conscious mind. At a gray station where the trains weren't running, a 30-year-old boy stubbornly clenched his fists in the face of anxiety and panic. He endured all of that bitter pain just to meet 13-year-old Akari Shinohara, like a gemstone. How beautiful. When he finally arrived at midnight, after countless stoppages on a single track, the area around Iwahune Station was buried in white. The two of them walked under the sparse street lamp. Beyond the station front, spread fields covered in snow, scattered house lights gleaming only in the distance. If they ever looked back, their footprints were the only marks in the thick, new snow. While the real Akari was immersed in her pass on the Oyama platform, a silver train pulled in. She readjusted the bag on her shoulder on that night when they were both 13, just for the two of them. The fluttering snow had been cherry petals. And so, he and I believed. The train slowly decelerated. A set of doors stopped right in front of Akari. Without a speck of doubt, the automatic doors opened. That we would see the cherry blossoms together again someday. Right then, Akari could almost see a young boy in a navy duffel coat rushing out of the train and onto the platform. Takagi realized that it had gotten dark while he aimlessly wandered the streets. He had no specific destination in mind. He was just walking. He had somehow made his way to Shinjuku proper and figured he hadn't left his town. He hadn't left the town. You could tell by his surroundings. Passing by other pedestrians now and then, he kept pressing forward in a mixed occupancy area that wasn't quite downtown or business district. A faint light from a convenience store spilled onto the streets on his left. Without thinking too deeply, he entered. If you roamed around at night, a convenience store sucked you in sooner or later. It was like a light trap. In college, students gathered in the cafeteria when they had nothing to do, and maybe convenience stores were the labor force's lunchrooms. You could get something to eat, and even skim through some magazines for the time being. Takagi was drawn to the magazine section along the window. He picked out a copy of Science magazine and flipped through it. He didn't want to read it in particular. He just wasn't interested in any of the other ones. He was simply trying to distract himself. He restlessly turned the colored pages. His hand stopped. The universe jumped out at him. More accurately, it was a photo of outer space. Tiny stars were scattered across a black sky. On the right side of the centerfold floated a spacecraft with a giant parabolic antenna. It appeared to be floating, but the thing was probably hurling at a cosmic speed. The headline declared that the Elish, E-L-I-S-H, space probe was taking its first step beyond the solar system. Takagi read the article. The Japanese space probe Elish, launched in 1999, had achieved a final swing by around Neptune and embarked on its eternal journey to the end of the universe. Just as you might hook your hand on a corner and turn with that centrifugal force. A swing by took advantage of a celestial body's gravitational pull to fling a vessel deeper into space. After its final swing by around Neptune, Elish would rely solely on inertia to continue its endless flight away from the solar system. As long as its atomic battery kept working for approximately 20 years, Elish would continue to transmit data to Earth. The probe wouldn't be returning to the solar system afterwards. To see just how much distance it might put between itself and its place of birth, really, for no other reason, Elish would be advancing straight into literal emptiness forever. Takagi casually returned to the spread and its CGI image of space, which is to say, you'll rarely meet even a single hydrogen atom. Chills suddenly shot up his spine. Once they subsided, he realized what had brought them on. Him, that guy. The orange light that climbed the sky on the island that night. Taraga, Takagi, and Kanai gazed up at in 1999. So it had gotten that far. It was all coming back to Takagi. Twilight. The air felt different, as if there had been a blackout. He felt something had turned towards it. The ascending light, the column of smoke, the delayed vibrations. That time, he'd felt himself change. No, he simply accepted what he has to become. What he was to become. He forged into the unknown with his eyes shut. He learned that about himself. Takagi understood it was all he could do after witnessing him. I see. Yet he had gone that far, over 8 years? Right now, Takagi was at a standstill. Probably for the first time since seeing the rocket at Tanegashima that day, he stopped moving. He felt guilty. That space probe, that rocket, pushed forward with a moment's hesitation and was already past Neptune. He, the rocket, not even given a final destination, was following order to go as far as you can, wherever that may be, and continuing his uniform linear motion. He was only a machine, yet Takagi trembled at his strength. He'd end up somewhere, though Takagi didn't know where. Surely it was someplace worth going. Just the way he spent 8 years reaching Neptune, he would arrive at an unknown place over an eternity. While Takagi just stood here. No, that's not true. At that moment, it hit him. Ah, the gentle feeling in the pit of his stomach spread to his whole body. It wasn't that he ended up in this place. He hadn't arrived here. He had arrived here. This wasn't who he wanted to be, but he was here. This wasn't where he wanted to find himself, but he'd arrived here. So this was Neptune. I finally got this far. It wasn't where he was trying to go, but he had walked all the way here on his own 2 feet. The depth and deficit weighing on him began to fade, untangling from his shoulders and feet. It retreated. He returned the magazine to its rack. He took a step back, then headed towards the exit. He thought about the dream he miraculously remembered that morning. He had dreamed about the past, about his past self. In it, the 2 of us were still 13. Takagi walked. He could feel his steps on the white floor. In the dream, spread fields covered in snow. Our footprints, the only marks in the thick new snow. Now, every time Takagi took a step forward, he felt a pleasant 1G in those days, and wanted to grow taller right away, to reach higher right away. He wanted to be strong for real. The boy in his dreams, his past self, sincerely wished for those things. That strength was now here. He was the person he once longed to be. Once, when just for the 2 of them, the fluttering snow had been cherry petals. She and I believed, without a speck of doubt. Takagi grasped distances much better than he used to, and he could pick up and handle many more things, even if the one desire from back then was no longer within reach, that we would see the cherry blossoms together again someday. That day, he wanted to become bigger and stronger, and now it was all here in him. He faced the door to the outside world. Hey Shadow, thanks for the sub. Hiya. Hey Shadow, hope you're doing well. Wish you the best. Or just reading, finishing up the book today. The automatic doors opened. Akane stepped onto the train to Tokyo. The automatic doors opened. Takagi stepped into the raging winds of February. 5. I'm always searching for you, in my dreams and at the crosswalk, even though I know you're not there. If a miracle were to occur, I want to show you now, this new morning, who I'll be from now on. And the word, I love you, that I couldn't say. One more time, one more chance. Lyrics by Masayoshi Yamazaki. We'll play the ending song once we finish this book. Takagi Tono surveyed Shinjuku, the town where he lived, as if he were seeing it for the first time. He filled his lungs with the cold air. He stretched his neck. He realized he'd been hanging his head when he walked. He breathed in, then out. The white puffs of breath floated away. He was here. He walked. The colors of the landscape flew into his consciousness and then out again. They left something in him. It was still snowing. He wanted it to snow a whole lot more. Takagi evaded the oncoming stream of people as he walked through the busy night streets. The radiance and commotion of downtown, the smell of presence of human beings, neon signs, the clear outline of the high-rise buildings, the blurred light of the traffic signals, various faces coming and going, an assortment of outfits, illuminated signs, wind, roadside trees, fallen leaves. The fallen leaves from the roadside trees twirled in the wind as if they were taking dance steps and brushed against the electronic billboards before falling to the ground. Takaki's optic nerves registered everything as light. That light was building something in his heart. He crossed the crosswalk. He stopped in the middle of the road. He glanced up at the snowy sky reflecting the city lights. The endless snow looked as if it was radiating from a single point in the sky. He watched a bird fly across the night sky, the pattern of the pavement on the sidewalk, the guardrail. He approached a construction site. The shadow of the mobile cranes huddled together on an unfinished building. The station's worn staircase, the automatic ticket gates. He peered down at the road from the platform. Tailgates, taillights created a river of illumination. He returned to his apartment. He leapt into the bed and fell into a deep sleep. And he had a dream. About his younger days, his childhood, his middle school years, events from high school played back on his mental screen. His memories are running through the trees in Nagano, seated to a memory of passing through a city shrine. While those sensations still lingered inside him, he found himself speeding uphill on his bicycle in Tanegashima. He remembered several friends who left deep impressions on him. He remembered each of the few girls who would reach out to touch his heart. The memory of Kanai's soft arm and lean shoulders floated into his mind. He recalled the day he left for Tokyo. When Takagi arrived at Tanegashima Airport with a heavy bag hanging off his shoulders, Kanai was there to see him off. Without saying anything of much importance, he uttered a casual, "Alright, then," and went through the gates. That felt as bitter as chewing metal. He remembered the cold-hearted, noble beauty he met at his part-time as a cram school instructor. He wished he could meet her one more time. Lisa's simple gestures and kind voice, the tickle he got in the back of his throat whenever he heard her voice revived in him. Immersed in a warm darkness, he took his time savoring the cross-current of memories. He woke up. He went down the stairs and out of his apartment building. He took in the morning air. He started wandering around. Even after a good night's sleep, the images of reality that flew into his eyes were intoxicating. Dawn's rays shone on each tidy structure in a residential district. The sun rose over a fenced-off uphill road. A gentle light filtered into a modest park. He felt the world through his skin. The world of memories in him blended and became one with the world that was here now. Various memories. He crossed a big old stone bridge. The city's memories were older than Takagi knew. He stopped in the middle of the bridge and peered down at the river. The water shimmered with light. He suddenly remembered the sea, how the landscape abruptly broke off on his right to reveal a vast sea as he rode his cub home on the normal national highway. He went under an overpass. He saw a bicycle with a basket leaning against a concrete wall. Beyond it, thin clouds hung in a bright, spacious sky. A traffic sign cast a bent shadow over the curb. A high school girl carrying a sports bag on her shoulder hurried down the street. A patch of clear weather spread across the city sky. Sunlight reflected off the edges of the river flowing through the city. He entered a station-front bakery that opened early in the morning and drank coffee in his cafe. He sat by a big window where he had a view of the street outside. For hours he gently gazed at the flow of people going to school and to work. When he stepped out of the cafe, the winter air had become softer and more pleasant. He randomly felt the urge to pass through the terrace at Shinjuku Station's southern exit. Climbing the small staircase up from Shinjuku Station, he arrived at a spacious promenade that gleamed white in the sunlight. He stopped in the middle. The promenade was wide enough for a few traffic lanes as if it were meant for cars, and a smattering of people passed him from the back and the front. Others sat idly on the rims of flower beds and were enjoying the breeze. Gradually veering to the left, Takagi leaned against the handrail that ran along the path. When he looked down from the edge of the raised southern terrace, he saw a JR line. It was just like peering down at a river from a bridge. He gazed at the trains flowing in and out. The wind blew. The sky was a fresh light blue. Low in the corner, the Dokomo Tower, reminiscent of a medieval clock tower, poked its head out a bit hazily. A white petal, from what flower Takagi couldn't tell, came dancing in the wind from somewhere and tried to flit past his eyes. He reached out. The petal obediently settled into his hand. Takagi felt it softly, dearly, careful not to crush it. He recalled catching a cherry petal like that in the spring as a high schooler. Cherry blossoms bloomed even on Tanegashima. The warm island air came back to life in him. He remembered gazing up into the human's massive sky. Tanegashima's refreshing blue summer sky. The deep blue had once tugged at his heartstrings. Even now he felt as if he could smell the grass. His heart flew to a faint green hill, the swaying grass. The smell of soil carrying on the breeze, the scent of the tide, far below the hill, a bluish-black tea, the white caps, the sun white too and strong, warm his body, dazzling, hot, enough to melt his consciousness. His mind spun, surrounded by the world, enveloped, cradled, the flying birds, the lovely, nameless wildflowers, the winged insects that hopped from one flower to the next. He peered down at the wide Tanegashima plains from the hills, the dark green of the forested mountains, the gentle green of the sugarcane fields, the fresh leaves of Tanegashima sweet potatoes in orderly lines, the red soil, the blue sky, bright, fraying clouds, the swaying windbreaks. The light was hot, the wind was hot, the turning windmills. The landscape came rushing back to him from the furthest reaches of his memory. He felt like crying. The island had been so beautiful. Why hadn't he ever noticed? So pretty, so pretty. It had seemed obvious, but he had never really noticed. He had been blessed. He looked back, he looked up, he spun, the world spun. Everything spun like a nebula and gathered to Takaki. He was at the center of the universe. Oh my gosh, that was a lot of reading. What? Oh, my butt. Oh, okay, that was beautiful. That was really pretty. That was really pretty. I still hate Takaki though. I'm kidding. Takaki is just a flawed character, or just has a lot of flaws. I would never forgive him as Lisa. Okay, this seems like it's gonna end the same way as the manga, I think. But very different. Or, of course, has so much more description in the book. Holy heck. Hey giraffe, cute bookmark? Yeah, it's a egg yolk. Yep. You try to imagine all this? Bad RNG. When I read, usually pictures just appear in my mind as I read, I guess. Like, when I read, it's like a mini movie. So. But if there are like words I don't even know, or know the meaning of, then of course it might be difficult to picture them. But yeah. I'll be honest, even when I read like books that aren't like novels, that are just like English books, I still imagine them in anime. I still imagine them as an anime movie in my head. Like, you see me reading like Romeo and Juliet, it's going to be an animated film in my head. A Japanese animated film in my head. Let me just stretch a bit. Cracking my fingers again. Of course it is, yeah. Yo. But reading out loud is very different from reading like alone and quiet, or like just like alone and just reading it in your head. Really reading out loud, it's almost more immersive because I kind of like it's not like I voice the characters, but like I'm also hearing myself. Like I'm not only reading the text, I'm also hearing my own words. Audible almost. It's really weird. It's really weird. But I love both. I enjoy reading out loud. I also enjoy reading alone. I can't imagine myself reading aloud every day though. That's too much work. I'll get too tired out. By the way, I don't know if there's anyone new here, but if there's anyone new out there that's here right now, I don't do these reading streams. I only do them once a week, by the way. Thursday night, once a week. That's it. I usually just read like a few dozen pages, like 40 pages maybe every time. Well, it gets pretty slow. When I get through a story, it takes like a month and a half to finish a story. I think this is my 6th stream reading 5 centimeters per second. But but to be fair, alright, but if the story's getting super good, I might like focus completely on it. With great power comes great responsibility. That's why I'm overdue on the power bill. Oh no. That's a funny play on the words. Alright. The next time after this small break that I'm taking, when I sit down and read, I'm gonna read all the way to the end, okay? You're like, shut. You're like, shut. It depends on me. Sometimes I understand the book more often and read quietly. I see. For me it's both. Honestly, I do agree with you, Mofu, in the fact that in the beginning, I did find it hard to like understand what I was reading while I was reading out loud. Like when I was reading Withering the Field, it took me a while to get used to. But now I think I'm used to it now. But even reading visual novels on they're on stream, it also took me a while to get used to. It's just different. I do love reading alone too. I mean, I always read before bed, like manga. I haven't been reading novels much lately. But now that I stream and I'm reading out loud to y'all, I'm reading novels a lot more. Oh, before I forgot, the power bill. Oh, sorry, that was a loud snap. So much for doing ASMR, huh? One more minute, and then just straight to hardcore reading. I think notification failed. Oh, you followed. Oh no. So when I do my, I'm sorry for everyone out there. Also, M41VTuber and I think Justine also followed. Thank you for a follow. I'm so sorry. When I do these reading streams, I disable all alerts and most channel redeems and raids. I disable all three of these when I do reading streams because I don't want them to distract the reading experience or the ASMR experience, I guess. The relaxing reading experience. So that's why I have them all turned off. I also have them turned off too during a collabs too, because I'm more so focused on playing with like partners. Yeah, so sorry about that, but thank you for the follow. Yeah, oh man, I just changed the alert sound too. It's the Animal Crossing alert sound when people follow. But yeah. I can only do this once a week. What I'm usually like on stream is kind of chaotic, as in like I have a low IQ and say random stuff and I just yell. I think only during these reading streams I'm actually wholesome, pure, and innocent. I think outside of these reading streams I'm kind of unsay-so. Unsays-o. Or not say-so. Wofu, I can't say it. I need to be say-so. Because I'm reading stream. Chill, I'm pure, I'm wholesome and innocent. I won't do anything to you, Mofu. Instead, I'm just gonna give you the Arthur fist. The meme with like the fist of Arthur. This is what I'm like right now. Grr. Emperor 1, Mofu and the Sacer says, oh my gosh, Mofu does that all the time. The fist bump, oi. By the way, I just recently started doing this in the ASMR category. I usually do in the just chatting category, but when I try to rate people who also read stories on stream, they're usually in the ASMR category. So that's why I'm trying in the ASMR category during the last stream and this stream. Just trying it out. If I find it kind of weird, or get complaints, I'll probably go back to just chatting. Because I don't really have a mic for ASMR. I just read. Wait, Lofu, do show the fist again? Wait, why? Arthur Fist. Look, Lofu, the whip. Whatever, dude. That was me hitting the whip. Y'all can't. Y'all only saw my fist, but yeah. All right, let's finish the book now. Take a gulp of water, and we'll finish the book. And yeah, yep. For all those who are here today, or here for the past reading streams, or just whatever, here today, here before, whatever. Hope you're enjoying, and we'll finally finish our second book today, tonight. So yeah, just relax, chill, do whatever, and I'll finish it, and then the ending song of 5 centimeters per second, maybe talk about the next book that I'll read next week, and we'll end stream. Oh my gosh, Mofu, I am... Can't believe you're my mod. Alright. I enjoy this. Obviously sarcasm, considering the emote. I'm kidding. Sorry for that sound. Okay, let's finish this book. 3. They were married at the end of winter, and now is cherry blossom season. Their new life was picture perfect even from Akadi's own perspective. I just read Sofu's message. I hate you so much, Sofu. Oh my god, you were there when I mentioned that. Yo, my dad will be 2 times as paranoid every night now, from now on. He's gonna wake up 2 times a night just to check on his car. Okay. Their new life was picture perfect even from Akadi's own perspective. They'd move into an apartment in Kichijoji. It was fairly old and cramped, but also quite cozy. Its small size gave home and resident a chance to grow close. True, her husband often grimaced when he thought about their loan payments. Akari continued to work despite her marriage. She saw no reason to quit a job that she loved. I want to hear you bark. I want to hear you bark. Which is more important, me or your job? I'm sorry, this shook me so much. This line shook me for a bit. I want to hear you bark. Which is more important, me or your job? She joked. He laughed heartily, and Sei looked forward to asking that. Of course, Akari had no intention of ever making him say something so sad and tedious. He wouldn't either, which is why they could laugh about it. That made her happy. I think it's so cool. Big fan. Okay, I'm not sure about lag. I'm pretty sure I think I said that line like 3 times. M41. I think I repeated the line 3 times. Because I was so shook. Yeah. Sorry. Oh, you stop that. Oh, everyone stop that. Halt. No, you're good, M41. Alright. That made her happy. Since her husband was all flat cooking and doing laundry, Akari had no choice but to handle those chores. He was certainly capable of pushing buttons on a washing machine, but was a lost cause when it came to folding clothes. BRL. Yet he always made sure to iron his own shirts. What's more, he was pretty good at it. It seemed to be one of those things that's man, this seems like such a healthy relationship. What the heck? Nah, you're not dumb, M41. Just blame it on bad RNG. Just unlucky. But nah, no one's ever dumb for being like that. We're never dumb, we're all learning. Guys were picky about. Akari didn't quite get it. Her husband took care of all the cleaning and dishwashing duties to balance things out. Apparently, most true activities suited his nature and didn't bother him at all. A godsend for Akari. This is so cute. I can make dinner without worrying about the dishes. This is heaven. But be that as it may, when the time was right, she was going to teach him how to fold clothes at least. It wouldn't hurt if he also learned how to make simple side dishes and rice porridge. Yo, I wish I would have someone to teach me that. It was a Saturday, and Akari had the day off from work. Her husband had left in the morning thanks to a business matter that required some extra attention. He was having to work over the weekend during their honeymoon period, but he just loved his job. He walked out the door in high spirits. Akari felt quite cheery too, and she hung the laundry out on the veranda to dry. The weather was lovely. What the heck, Sofu Oi? Wait. Did I miss something? Sparkling clean. Their home was sparkling clean thanks to her husband's diligent efforts the day before, so she was in a particularly good mood. Akari was enjoying her life both at work and at home. It was all so fulfilling. Wait. Just then, a notion seemed to sprout on her chest. Something nagged at her. It was as if she forgot an important promise. Maybe she'd borrowed an item that was important to someone and wasn't remembering. Standing vacantly on her veranda, she ended up looking out at the scenery. Some small thing danced before her eyes. It was a cherry petal, fluttering up by from somewhere. She tried to catch it, but it was too slow. It neatly slipped out of her hand. Perhaps it was the petal that enticed her. She felt like going to see the cherry blossoms. She started heading to Yoyogi Park. Just to remind everyone, so the promise was to see cherry blossoms together with the main character Takagi, who by the way they're not together anymore, or they were never really together. So that's why she started heading to the park right now, because of that promise to see the cherry blossoms together. And also another callback, or I'm just gonna remind this one. The series is called 5 centimeters per second. And in the beginning of the book, it's mentioned that they read a random fact somewhere, like in a National Geographic basically, that apparently cherry blossoms fall from the trees down to the ground at 5 centimeters per second apparently. That's why cherry blossoms has so much to do with this story, because of like that motif or whatever. So you're getting nothing. Nothing. I was gonna say anything. Okay. Anyways, Takagi started a new job. That being said, programming was his only meal ticket. He'd focus on that one skill as a working member of society. He knew he could make it just about anywhere in that field, though. He asked some industry acquaintances from his time at the company if they could send along any odd jobs that he could do on his own now that he'd quit. Despite the recession and Takagi's new low expectations, they had a few projects for him right away. At a meeting, one of them bluntly told Takagi, "You've got the skills, though I don't know about your personality." They both had a good laugh over that. When a different acquaintance made a direct offer to try to recruit him, Takagi felt he had no choice but to politely decline. He moved to a 2K apartment in Shibuya. In case y'all don't know what 2K means, it means a 2 kitchen apartment in Shibuya. Wait, am I trolling? Wait, no, it's a 2-room apartment with a kitchen in Shibuya. That's what I mean. It's a 2-room apartment with a kitchen in Shibuya. I believe the 2 means a 2-room, right? No, it means, yeah, 2 rooms, yeah. I think that's what it means. Yeah, 2-room, 1 kitchen, yeah. Okay, phew. I almost forgot it. I almost forgot what it meant. I was like, wait, 2 kitchens? It just has 2 kitchens? I got mad confused. Thanks M41 for the reminder. Me who has a personality but no skills. No comment. He purchased a high-end Apple machine and the parts to build himself a Windows PC and brought in a wide desk and an Aaron chair to turn one of his rooms into an office. He put in an order for his business cards and started working as a freelance programmer. Yep, thanks a lot. His new lifestyle, where he worked at his own pace, chose his jobs, and he just kept an eye on his deadlines, was comfortable. Sometimes he received sudden spec changes and having to comply felt absurd, but he learned to take it in stride and not let it bother him too much, though it did sometimes get to him. He set his own break times, he worked through the night when he felt like it. He'd been liberated. Gravity no longer grew stronger or weaker. God dang, it's so full. Oh my gosh. Due to some whim that even Takagi couldn't comprehend, he actually started using his kitchen. He prepared 3 meals for himself every day, so he could, if he tried. He replaced his old refrigerator because he needed a bigger freezer. He bought bookshelves and a storage rack and organized his room. Previously, he never wanted to waste his time on things like that. Takagi ran a check on his 24-inch screen, removed his hands from the keyboard, and stretched back to his chair. In his chair. Oh, I'm gonna sneeze. Hold up. Bleh. Okay, I'm back. Sofa is down bad right now. He had worked through the night, and it was 10 in the morning. The delicate aroma of spring drifted into his room from the open window. The curtain swayed. As if whisked away by the warm spring wind, Takagi stepped outside. 1. Now that she thought about it, that nagging feeling predated her wedding. She assumed it was just the marriage blues. But was it something else? Somewhere deep down, did she regret getting married? Akane burst out laughing. Nah. She transferred from the Intokashira line to the Odakyu at Shimo Kitazawa and got off at Yoyogi Uehara. She would walk from there. She was shocked that simply getting married could make her feel so fulfilled. Her quick steps made clacking sounds. Her skin faintly warm in the radiant sunshine. She thought she might doze off even as she walked. She came to a crossing that looked charming enough to serve as a location for a movie or TV drama. It was incredibly wide sideways. House lined the tracks and potted plants filled gardens that were too small to be called such. They shone a beautiful bright green in the spring sun. Yoyogi's part luxurious greenery was visible on the other side of the crossing. A great cherry tree stood right beside the crossing signal. Not a single leaf had sprouted yet. It was in full bloom. The tall branches were dyed a soft, light pink. The petals gently reflected the sunlight, making the tree glow like a big standing lamp. Petals fell from blossoms and, tossed by the wind, danced over the tracks and crossing. Akane entered it amidst the fluttering petals. When she had gone about a third of the way, the warning started to sound. From the looks of it, the gate would come down shortly after she was done crossing. She didn't need to hasten her pace. It was truly a picturesque scene. It looked just like snow, Akane thought. The warm air felt nice. She felt so relaxed her heart could melt. She spaced a little. Then Akane passed someone. Oh, hey Val. Hope you're doing well. Oh, rest in peace, Sofu. The sneeze? Oi. I'm not doing a Pika sneeze on a reading stream. The moment food isn't made, they're going to the shower room. What the heck, Mofu? That's what Sofu said. This is not that Jobu. Oh my gosh. Shame on you, Mofu. I mean, shoot. Shame on you, Sofu, not Mofu. I mean, you know what? Whatever. Shame on you, Mofu, too. But hey, Val. Hope we're doing well. Hello. Alright. We're just finishing the book here. We're almost done. We're like 6 pages away. People tend to think that I've got my head in the clouds, but my emotions are actually pretty extreme. It's obvious. If I'm being serious or not, when I'm thinking about the person I like, or when he is in front of me. I space out so badly that I almost lose my mind. Contemplating all sorts of things and writhing in pain, anguish, anger, I log in the corner of my heart a lot of things that I could never say while I'm sober. But I'm different when I cool down. I calmly deal with my work and daily life in all their detail. There's a part of me that handles things and... Yeah, did I skip a page? I think I skipped a page. Handle things in a composed and realistic manner. My hots and colds are as fierce as a desert. I would be perfectly normal if I could just balance them out. My own power surprises me when my switch is on. I find myself falling in love with such passion. Sometimes I wonder where all that empathic. How's empathy? Empathic energy is coming from. Right. It's really important. And the key to living, the reason I've managed to survive. Actually, looking at someone, being looked at in return, trying to enter each other's heart, trying to understand someone, yearning to be understood. Long ago, at a certain moment one day, I discovered that wonderful experience. Life isn't all sunshine and rainbows. Sometimes it's all vomiting blood. The pain seems out to wring all the fluids from your body. But even in those trying times, I always felt protected. Even when I was barely betrayed by someone I had trusted, even when I was hurt much worse, even when things got so complicated in high school that I had to hide out alone at lunchtime, I was protected. I kept receiving that power. In a corner of my heart, when things got really tough, I could always sense an endless, benevolent, mysterious presence carrying half my burdens on its shoulders. That presence, in fact, was always with me. It stayed close beside me. Behind the mailbox, when I quickly glanced at it, in the back alley window, and on the facing platform, it was always wherever my heart was, which is why I was okay. I never felt lonely. I assume it's her memories with Takagi. Hey guys, this is going to be a short stream. I'm controlling my anger, holding in my anger, holding in my rage. Okay, we're good. I mean, by short stream, I mean around 2 hours. Honestly, it might be 2 hours and a half. I'm kidding. But by short stream, I didn't mean like 2 hours. As in shorter than my usual long streams, which are usually like 3 to 4 hours. What the heck's so fool? Okay, wait, I need to focus on. Okay, I need to focus on reading now. Yeah, it's Arthur Fist. The instant Takagi passed a woman in the middle of the crossing, a momentous and fatal realization came upon him. He understood everything. What the heck? Yo, me seeing the girl of my dreams, I understood everything. That overwhelming recognition hit Takagi like a ton of bricks, and yet he couldn't reproduce his understanding on a conscious level. He had obtained all of the answers but couldn't put them into words. Emotions had memories that he had never been able to organize. The chaos he carried in himself changed loudly, reassembled, detached, transformed, and fell into place. The phantasmal horizon over which a binary star ascended in Takagi contracted to a single point like so many grains of sand, and shattered. The sparkling powder dispersed and turned into snow, and gathered on a window frame. A halted train, a dark snowy landscape, time frozen, time and space, frozen, extended into another dimension. A rocket turned into a building, the building converted into lines of code, and the lines of code crystallized all of his emotions, condensed into a transparent crystal, which shattered to pieces. What? Okay, sorry. I couldn't handle it reading that. What the heck? It's so edgy. I mean, it's really good writing, or as like, it's beautiful. But it's so, in this scenario, it's just so weird. Yeah, like, I don't know. Is that how you describe falling, or is that described? Is that how that's described? I don't know. Okay. Being shot in the head with a Sorry, I can't take this seriously. Being shot in the head without seeing it coming must feel the same. Cherry petals twirled, like they were the fragments of his burst emotions. Confusion. Some baffling forces coursed him. Takagi just kept on walking. The warning still sounded. If he turned around, surely she would too. He was passing the crossing now. The gate descended behind him. He stopped walking. He was sure of it. He turned around. The woman, faced away from him, slowly started to turn. At last, her profile. Just then, An otaku train came hurling in from the left with an ear-splitting noise. Rushing by at a ferocious speed, it blocked Takagi's view. Silver cars marked with blue stripes kept flowing over the tracks like a river and kept separating him from the passerby like a wall. The train was very, very long. On the other side, a woman. The train was taking forever. It was like a blaring wall of sound. He couldn't hear a thing. It would soon pass. The moment he thought it was gone, another train came speeding in from the right to obstruct his view. He couldn't see her. The wind from the speeding train buffeted him. He put one foot behind him and entered into a slight crouch without thinking. As if this were a few months ago, I might have dashed into the crossing and gotten myself killed. The second train passed, leaving behind an echo and faint afterimage. The crossing signal stopped sounding. The gate began to rise. The thick this line, by the way. This was a few months ago. I might have dashed into the crossing and gotten myself killed. What the heck is this line? I'm sure by a few months ago he means when he was still with Lisa, whose older brother died from crossing through the platform and got hit by an incoming train. So is he saying that, I might have died like Lisa's brother if I was still together with her? What the heck? I don't know what this means. I don't know why it would mean this. Maybe I'm interpreting wrong. The gate began to rise. The thick spring air, the sun's gold-tinted rays, petals gently dancing up over the tracks. The pink presence of the cherry tree beside the crossing signal. Within that scenery, the woman had vanished. Petals were swept by the wind. Oddly enough, a smile appeared on his face. Why did he feel so fulfilled when she hadn't turned around? He asked her a question in his mind. What in the world did you just give to me? While he had only glimpsed her profile, he could tell that she was pretty. There was something about her, yes, an aura of happiness. The fulfillment that she felt seemed to rush over him like a wave. Good vibes. It was great seeing someone who seemed happy. It somehow made him feel generous too. He wanted to pass along the kindness. It was funny how strong he felt. He had a sense that he could tackle something new. Alright, for reference, so if in case I guess I'll just summarize what happened here. So Takagi, the main male lead, saw the main female lead, Akane, or Akari. I already forgot her name. I'm big trolling. It's Akane, right? Akari. Okay, I'm big trolling. Saw Akari, across a train crossing, and then the trains were Hey Joey, hand reveal. Well, this is my 12th stream, but yeah, hand reveal. 12th hand stream. So they were on the other sides of the train crossing, and then the bars kind of lowered down, and then Akari's here, Takagi's here, and the train was just beep 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 beep. The train was just moving along, and they couldn't see each other because of the train crossing, or because of the train driving through, and on the other side, and once the train finished crossing, Kari, who was on the other side, left already, despite having supposedly seen him. Was she cute? Yeah, it's a Pushin. Papa. So why I brought this up is I already mentioned it before, but I'll mention it again. In the beginning of the book, which I don't remember being in the movie, talked about how when they were playing around and they also went through the crossing, when they were kids, when they're in elementary school or something, and the same scenario happened, and then Akari, it was in Akari's perspective. Akari was thinking Akari was worried that when the train finishes passing, Takagi would suddenly vanish and disappear. So Akari was anxious and stressed over when that long train passed that he would be gone. But when it went past, he was still there, and she was really relieved. Now we're seeing it from Takagi's perspective, where when she disappeared, he feels fulfilled. So that's just a callback. Which is really cool. I bet a lot of deals in the book aren't there in the movie. Yeah, it makes sense because this is meant to be that way. Because this came after the movie, actually. Choco. This is one more side. It's a separate. It kind of adds more to a movie. It came out after the movie. I think there's a. Let me search it up. I'll search it up after. But I think there's a novel that's actually just 5 centimeters per second. But this one's like, has chapters from the perspective of the girl, which is different from the movie. Oh no, Sofu. Yeah, I just want to bring that up, which is a really nice parallel. In the end, they're both like relieved and fulfilled, or they're both relieved, but in different scenarios. Oh no, Choco, no, yeah, it's literally called One More Side. Whoops. All right, I'm not sure if there's like a original one. All right, now I'm just gonna focus completely on reading. I'm not gonna look at chat for like the next however minutes it takes to read these last 3 pages. Alright, now let's finish reading the book. 2. Takagi turned away from the crossing and started walking. The warm air felt nice. He felt so relaxed his heart could melt. Now, what might he do? Nothing was beyond him. Maybe he should try calling someone. Who? Anyone really. As long as he knew their number, he could connect to them. He could talk to anyone. He had forgotten his cell at home. Was there a phone booth around here? He'd take a little look around. Right. He'd go anywhere. Takagi stepped forth and turned a corner. Dear Takagi, how have you been? We've never thought there would be a snowstorm on the day we promised to meet, did we? The train seemed to be delayed, which is why I decided to write this while I wait for you. There's a stove in front of me, so it's warm here, and I always keep stationery in my bag. It's so I can write to you at any time I want. I'm thinking about giving you this letter later on, so I would be pretty flustered if you got here too soon. There's no rush, so please take your time. Today will be the first day that we've met in a while. I can't believe it's been 11 months, so I'm honestly a little nervous. I'm even worried that we might not recognize each other. Still, the station here is much smaller than any in Tokyo, so it would be impossible for us to miss each other. No matter how hard I try to picture you in your new school uniform or soccer clothes, it feels like I'm imagining someone I don't know. I'm going to write down all the things that I could never tell you properly. You really saved me when I transferred to Tokyo in 4th grade. I was so happy that I could be your friend. Do you think school would have been a nightmare if it hadn't been for you? That was why I couldn't bear the thought of transferring away. I wanted us to go to the same junior high and grow up together. I'd always wished we could. I've gotten used to the middle school here, somehow, so please don't worry. But I keep on thinking how great it'd be if you were with me, many times a day. It hurts to know that you're going to move so far away, even though Tokyo and Tochigi aren't exactly close. I always figured I could find you if I had to. I would see you right away if I just hopped on a train, but the other side of Kyushu is just too far away. From now on, I have to learn how to make it on my own. I'm not very confident that I can. I'm gonna be really sad right now. But there's something that I need to tell you. I might not be able to say it out loud today, so I'll write it down in this letter. I love you, Takagi. I don't remember when I started loving you. It was just naturally happened before I knew it. You were so strong and kind from the first time I met you. You always protected me. You are going to be okay, Takagi. No matter what happens, I know you will grow up to be a wonderful, kind-hearted person. No matter how far away from me you go, I'll absolutely still love you. Please, please remember that. Wait, I'm gonna take a drink of water before I read Takagi's letter. Okay. Dear Akari, how are you? It's 9 p.m. and I'm writing this in my room. I need to clear my throat. Okay, I'm sorry. I'm writing this in my room. I can see tiny building lights outside my window. What do you see out of yours right now? It's a little hard for me to imagine. I really should be doing my math homework, but lately I've been slacking off a lot. None of my friends in soccer club take homework seriously, and I don't really feel like doing it when I think about how I'll be moving soon. We're going to meet in 2 weeks, right? I'm thinking of giving you this letter then. I hear the island on the other side of Kyushu that I'll be moving to is super rural, but it also has a NASA NSDA launch site. That's the only part of moving that I'm excited about. I'll tell you all about. I'll tell you all about the awesome launch after I've seen it. At this point, that's all I really have to look forward to. Honestly, I'm anxious about moving so far away. I just want to be an adult already. Right now, I feel stuck at a weird age. I'm just realizing that I should have gone to see you sooner. Right, I don't know why I didn't. There are so many things I've been wanting to tell you since I started junior high. I've been missing you this entire time. I love you, Akadi. I still don't know what growing up is all about, but if we happen to meet again someday in the distant future, I want to be someone that you can be proud of. I want to make you that promise, Akadi. And that's the end of the book.